What's up? Good morning, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Hear me, see my screens? Had a little delay there getting into the stream. It was just spinning and spinning. Good morning, the Lucky Hodak. Good morning, L3 Anter. Good morning, Ishan. Welcome in. Steve, good morning. Ray, good morning. Sachin, good morning. Welcome in. Daniel, what's up? Richard, CC, Lewis, good morning, everybody. Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me. Good morning, Victor. Welcome in. I think it is moving on my end, so I think it can see. Alessandro, good morning. Jose, what's up? Welcome in, guys. All good. Okay, thanks. Chi, good morning. Welcome in. Cool. Yeah, another run up, which made things a little tricky today. Nice run up overnight, probably lower volume and lower liquidity overnight. So when it squeezes up like that, it doesn't really have a whole lot to fight it back other than any resting orders that were previously still sitting in the market. But yeah, pretty nice run up. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, it just is what it is. But I really wanted to target those 6390s to 6400s with longs today after seeing what we saw yesterday. But it looks like we already ran up there and actually broke through it and well above it overnight. But that was a really clean and clear target for me, 6390 into 6400s. But we already ran that out overnight. So now we got to kind of reevaluate, reassess, and probably stay patient today. We always want to stay patient every day, but today is one of those days where we had a pretty straight run up in price for the last 2 days. Well, since yesterday and continuation overnight. So you have to understand, like the indices are kind of a mean reversion market, meaning they're kind of the average of the stock market. You know what I mean? It's when one sector is hot, another sector may be cool, and then it's less frequent where everything is hot and you have a strong trend in all the indices. More often than not, anytime things get too far extended one way or the other, the markets tend to be efficient and revert back towards the mean. So looking at the 4-hour chart here, you can see since we made this dip, I mean, we had this one pullback day here that didn't even get into the morning opening range from this prior day. But since that sell-off Thursday, Friday, I mean, the same thing we've seen for almost the last 2 flipping years, which is every sharp drop is a V-shaped recovery opportunity bounce. So, but looking at this, I mean, we had this pullback, and just looking at the 4-hour chart, there's been almost no pullbacks. We had a little pullback in the pre-market yesterday. Funny enough, I capitalized on shorts yesterday, probably caught the best and only short side move of the day. And then right after my target hit by just a few points under it, pretty much straight up reversion all day. I wasn't watching the charts, but it would have been a really nice break and retest setup later in the day. I don't know if anybody caught this. Let me know in the chat. But you can see I have to drop all the way down to the 15-minute probably to see it. So I caught shorts at like pretty much the tippity top of this wick and closed down here in the 30s, kind of middle of the range when we were having this choppy range. But we swept out the lows one more time right into that low volume node. I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday. For anybody that was here yesterday, there was kind of a low volume node area here and then this aggressive rally overnight. We dipped right into that And that was part of the reasons why I targeted the middle of this range with my shorts. I wasn't looking to get super greedy for a low of the break because I knew there was this low volume node area. There was buyer support down here, and it could revert from there. In fact, it did. So you could have played a bottom reversal down here in that area. After, after my target hit, we dropped one more time and swept perfectly into that area. This is what we talked about yesterday. Was like this area right here, 30 and all the way down to 22. There's like a low volume node area, and the volume profile just shows where buyers were really aggressive. We dipped into there and absolutely smoked higher all day from there. So that would have been a nice bottom reversal opportunity yesterday, and or potentially a breakout of this area up here, where I traded this kind of key zone. If you remember from yesterday, I talked about this key area from 50 to 55 that I was first looking for to reject. It did, and I played shorts right here. But then after we bounced off that low volume node area, this demand area, and retested it, I would not have been looking. Some people asked me yesterday, I would not have been looking for shorts here again. With the context that we swept the regular trading hours low into this area of demand and then immediately rallied back up into this level, I would not have looked to short this a second time. I was already done for the day, walked away from the screens, but look how we broke out above and then pulled back like this oval area. You can see just on the 15-minute, this wick down here, broke out above it, pulled back into it, held perfectly, and then a continuation rally. If I was in this, I probably would have just scalped it and looked to get out partial on the break above this high. And then the next level I had above was this 63.74 key level. Both of those targets hit. So that was a really nice break and retest long setup opportunity entry down here in this zone after the break and retest. Targeted breakout 1 there, probably trail risk to break even, then target 2 up there. So same way, you guys can use the same analysis even after the stream and formulate your own trades on, or just some different scenarios that played out. And then overnight, we had this after that move, and this is why I've, especially over the summer, been just walking away after the morning session. I don't look to trade late into the afternoon very much, definitely not over the summer, because volatility tends to just really dry up, and you can see how it's just consolidated after we hit this level all day. However, it just waited for the market to close and swept out the lows and then rallied higher all night. So that was fun. So now that we got up here above 6400s, just looking at the volume profile, we did kind of dwindle down up here. Let's go out a little bit further. We are testing this area. We have all-time highs up here. We're not far from it. This was a bit of an area of consolidation. Consolidation for 1, 2, 3, kind of 4 days before we peaked the highs and rejected again. So you do want to watch this area. I have this key level marked at 31, plus or minus a few points. It was a prior resistance level, turned support, turned resistance. So it's just kind of a key level. But really, we could mark this whole area to watch, this whole basically basing area where that trapped sellers and dropped pretty aggressively. Already traded up into that pretty far, so I'm just going to mark it from here to like the top of that there. So this is kind of the nearest area of interest. That I have. Just going to mark that out for us there. And we can see how we got up into there once already and rejected. If we break out above this pre-market high, I probably would not be looking to short at all. Just plain and simple. If we make a higher low here in the morning and reject this again, then I'll consider this kind of like a supply zone top reversal setup. kind of a minor small supply zone top reversal. So if we get a nice morning pop into this area, I may look to take this short just because of how extended this move is. I could see us quickly retracing kind of the overnight buying. Possibly there's a nice little bit of low volume area around 6,400 into 6,390. So kind of that same area that I was potentially looking to target. I'm now watching out for, or same area I was looking to target with longs, I'm now watching for a possible retest to target with shorts if that sets up about 6,390 to about 6,400. It's kind of a big zone. I already have 6,400 marked here, so I really don't need to mark it, but just know like 6,400 into 6,390. And that's actually, we can mark this kind of as just an overnight swing high. One hour swing high. Yeah. You can see we kind of pulled back and then broke out over that. So if we have a pop off the open here and I see significant selling reject again under this zone, I'll possibly look to play it as a supply zone top reversal and target probably the 6,400, 6,390 area. And if we get really frothy on a strong drop under there, we could come down to these lows, 6,380, into yesterday's consolidation in the afternoon. This is also an area that could get defended from buyers. That's why it's a target. So the other thing is if we get a nice little morning bottom reversal setup, then we could see if we drop down into here first this morning and catch it long and target this zone up here. But both sides feel not super A+, not super crystal clear to me, just because buyers are strong. We're clearly, bulls control the market, and I'm very, 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 very cautious and not wanting to fight them. But also at the same time, we're a little bit extended now. But markets can stay extended for a while before. So you want to be very, very, in my opinion, over the last year, year and a half, very, very cautious and quick with shorts. Good morning, Blair. Good morning, Johnny. Good morning, Just Julian. Good morning, Clayton. Good morning, Joe. Welcome in. Had me worried today. Yeah, I had a little delay getting in. The StreamYard was just like spinning and spinning on the live stream. And then also I forgot, normally last, like the night before, I create the live stream and I didn't realize that I hadn't created that. So I created that really quick this morning, about just a few minutes before, like 5 minutes before. But then when I tried to create it, StreamYard was just like lagging and just spinning. So I had to do that this morning. But yeah, that's my fault. Normally like the day before I create the live stream so like everybody can join in before it actually starts right at 9. Good morning. What is it? Graham. I don't know if I can pronounce your name correctly. Gagandeep. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Sorry if I don't. All right, so that's the game plan in a nutshell. Pretty simple today. We have a bit of resistance above, we have a bit of support below, and we're on a pretty extended rally. We've pretty much fully retraced this whole drop from Thursday, Friday, and we're kind of retesting the origin of the seller breakdown on Thursday. So this is kind of a key pivotal spot, in my opinion, where like this is kind of like last chance for sellers. Otherwise, we're going back to all-time highs. Good morning, Jorge, Andrew, Kellen Rock. Welcome in, everybody. So pop this over here. We'll take a look at this volume profile. This is what I was talking about. kind of this lower volume area here. I don't give it as much weight, the overnight moves on the volume profile, just because it's overnight. There's less volume transacted than the regular trading hours, New York time. So, but we did rally up pretty aggressively when we broke out this high, 63.90 into 6,400. And you see how on the volume profile, we rallied really aggressively through that and created this low volume area. So that's something I'm watching, both as a target and to see if it gets defended from bulls if we drop down there, either way. And you can see this is kind of a balanced market profile, in my opinion, just how we have the lower volume above, kind of lacked participation. We had this quick rally up, and now we're just kind of building volume here in the middle. So this whole area here, from like 64.05 to 64.15, that's like, watch out. In my opinion, that's kind of setting up to be like a no trade zone right here. If we rally up, especially over like 17 into that zone that I marked up there, especially if we can just make a lower high. If we break the pre-market highs and we get too far up with a lot of strength from buyers, then I'm probably not going to look to fade that. But if we make a lower high from this wick here, let's drop down to the 15-minute. So if very, very, very similar to the setup I traded yesterday. We had this pre-market high with this aggressive selling. We popped up into it. I spotted good confirmations to take it short. So almost identical setup today. We made this pre-market high in this area of resistance. Sellers dropped it back. If we pop up above here, above like 17 to 23-ish, call it, I'll be watching to see if sellers reload there. But if we get deep up into here and rally up into here again, probably going to be pretty cautious trying to fade that and trying to short that, or just not. We could possibly break out and retest this zone and hold it if we're just on another crazy rally. Like I said, is it going to go on forever? No, but the markets can stay irrational a lot longer than we can remain solvent on trying to fight it. So if we pop up here, we break it and retest into here, then that's another setup. And then really not much above, just going into all-time highs. This is that kind of that last little drop and swing high area. And this is all-time highs right here. So that's why I say, like, sellers are going to try to defend here. And if they don't, I don't really see much stopping us from just going to new all-time highs. But as we come up into this resistance area, we are kind of extended. And that's why I say the market is kind of one-sided right now. So if sellers resist this, then buyers could be off balance pretty quick, and we could see another sharp drop retracement. As far as news goes, sorry, my voice is a little messed up. I'm having like some allergies, post-nasal drip, getting my throat. As far as news goes, we had jobless claims at 8:30. Didn't get too much from that. Pretty much just chopping sideways. And then we have 30-year bond auction at 1 p.m. And Trump is speaking today at 4 p.m. So not looking to force any trade setups. So I look on this page here, Bloomberg economic calendar, and then I do the filters and I clear, and I only look at the United States, and I only look at the medium and high impact stuff. So Thursday, this is what I'm looking at, 30-year bond auction. We've seen some bond auction reactions before, but I think that was more around the 10-year. 10-year has more direct impacts with like mortgage rates and stuff like that. Yeah, Trump speaking at 4. 1 p.m., 1300, 30-year bond. This is all New York Eastern time. All right. Good morning, Laksh. Welcome in. And then the other thing for like real-time news, I look at this First Squawk page on X, formerly Twitter. But really, as an order flow reader, reading the tape, the news is always behind. Like I'm just kind of glancing at the news to see, like, I already see stuff happening in the price action and the order flow. I don't need the news to tell me something's going on, but I just glance at it to be like, mainly I look at it to see if it's something that I think is going to continue to impact the market, or if it was just a blip and then, business as usual. If something crazy comes out and I see it on the price action, see it on the order flow, and then I look at the news and I'm like, oh, a new war just broke out or something, then I may be like, okay, let's pump the brakes because this craziness may continue. I'm not going to jump into the orders when the order flow is going nuts, because there's a good chance that's going to continue to happen for a little while. Let me let the dust settle until I can read the tape clearly again. So I'm not trading off the news, and I don't need the news to tell me that something is happening, because I can already see that in price far before a news headline comes out about it in the order flow. But I'm just seeing if I'm gauging if it's something that I need to continue to be wary about. Makes sense? So these are kind of the nearest areas that I'm watching. And I'm watching for, if we drop into here and rally out of it, or if we rally into here and drop out of it. Or if we drop through here, break, and then come through here. Or if we rally above here and break and come out there. That's a lot of scribble, sorry. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Makes sense? I'm letting this, I'll flip the screens over here again, but there's not anything that I'm watching to execute like right here in the first few minutes. We're a little bit away from anything that I'm looking to execute. Good morning, Celios. Let me switch my screens over. Which screen is it today? Here we go. So a lot of selling here right off the get-go. A lot of selling that dropped right above 6,400. Not quite enough for me to look to be involved. Good morning, Trade Nicks. Welcome in. Nice little pump off that dip. Trapped all these sellers and pumping up, but wasn't quite enough or in a key area for me to get in it. But nice little dip here. All these sellers right off the open got absorbed. You can see how the selling amplified like right off the drop, larger, 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 and then it just, like if sellers were really strong and there was no passive buyer, this would continue to drop. But see how it dropped and then just went sideways, and then more selling came in, it continued to go sideways, and then weaker selling came in. So it went from like strong, medium, weak, and it just stayed flat here. So obviously passive buyers sitting here absorbing these aggressive sellers. And then there wasn't enough selling to get below that passive buyer, and we shot right back up. But again, even like I'm explaining to you guys like how I'm seeing the order flow in real time. But just because I'm seeing something doesn't mean it's at a location with a risk and reward and probability that I want to execute the trade off of. Yeah. Somebody made a comment about my keyboard clicking. It's a noisy keyboard. It's like a Razer gaming keyboard, but it is very clicky, isn't it? I imagine somebody's got their volume up and it just sounds like a machine gun every time I get on my keyboard. Yeah, it's a mechanical Razer keyboard. Maybe I'll invest in a silent one so I'm not blasting everybody's eardrums like a machine gun on my keyboard whenever I type during the live streams. Trapping some buyers at the high. I could see this larger order got filled here, 64.12s, 381 lot, positive delta there, and dropping back from that. So typical, very similar to what we saw yesterday morning. Sweeping the highs, dropping, sweeping the lows. Like the context and structure going into this morning was very similar to me from what we saw going into yesterday. The only difference is now today we're even more extended to the upside. I don't know what model it is or anything. It's a Razer Ornata V2 keyboard. I really like it. So aside from the noise, like clicking, which wasn't a problem for just me, but for being on the live stream, it is. But I really like the physical, tactile clicks of the keys, especially if I'm using shortcuts for anything, like I'm watching like price action and stuff, and I get a very physical and tactile response. I know what key I hit, which is probably good for gaming as well. I'm not a gamer really. I play occasional games, but it's good for trading as well, and good for having a nice tactile keyboard response. But for the purpose of these live streams with my microphone sitting like right next to the keyboard, I should probably invest in a silent one. Sorry, guys. I don't normally do this, but I have been doing this more as far as drawing on Bookmap. when I'm explaining for you guys here. So I'll just get on here and draw like, oops, that's not what I meant. Rectangle. I've been doing this more to like mark out the things that I'm talking about. And so I kind of like it too, so I don't forget. But we saw this absorption and quick bit of buying here, and now we see a bid reappearing here at 64.05. But again, location being like middle of this range that we've been in since like 7:45 a.m. this morning, or really like 7:30 this morning. We've been in like a 10-point range or less since like 7 a.m., a couple hours now. So watching out. And again, like I talked about, you can just see it on the volume profile here. See how we rallied aggressively. We left this area of low volume, which looks even more pronounced now that the open has occurred and we're building even more volume up here. And then we lacked volume up here. So the difference is we rallied really aggressively, so not a lot of volume transacted here. And then we got overextended up here, and see how the volume just kind of dwindled down as we rallied up into this area and pulled back. And now we're just kind of consolidating in the middle, building a lot of volume. And you can see this is a 30-minute chart. You can see just the wicks, how much time we've spent here, and just buyers and sellers are agreeing on price. I capitalize when there's an imbalance in the market and the market quickly moves from one location to another location. But when price is extremely balanced and just there's nobody really out of balance here, buyers or sellers, nobody's in pain. You know what I mean? Nobody's getting stop hunted. The highs and lows are getting stop hunted, but nobody's really getting squeezed in one direction or another. Nobody's getting in pain in this move. We're just kind of consolidating here. Then I look to not do anything. And those first key areas of interest that I mentioned to you guys is up here where this volume dwindled, to see if sellers reject. If not, we may continue higher. And actually, interestingly enough, like people have mentioned this in the past, I don't normally look at like the value area high, value area low, and point of control stuff, but today is a day where it's extremely clear, like value area low right in this low volume area where we rallied, value area high right where this buying dwindled. So I guess maybe I do look at these things, but I look at it through my own personal analysis and not just like a indicator marking it, but it is marking value area high, value area low, and point of control spot on today. Yeah, so value, somebody said drawing on bookmap, and robot said drawing on bookmap makes it make more sense. Yeah, I try to draw these out during the live streams to kind of help communicate it and show you guys like what I'm seeing, what I'm watching. I think I did that yesterday. I think I kept this open late enough that I still have yesterday's stuff on the charts. Yeah. So I literally drew this out in real time yesterday. I left my charts open late, so I still have this loaded on the same file. But this is where I took that short yesterday. We had all that aggressive buying into here. I drew this box for you guys. We dropped under it and popped, and I took it short right up here at the 63, 48, 50, right there. And then we dropped from there. So we did bounce again above this box that I just drew, right where we had this trapped buyers. Quick aggressive pop out of that. Pulled back, held. So buyers are kind of defending this now and rallying. But again, location and context are very important to me. I have a lot of setups that I look for because I only trade ES, and I kind of just master that, and NQ a little bit. So I have a lot of different setups depending on the market conditions. I've been doing this for a lot of years, so I know exactly different conditions that I look for different setups. And yeah, certain setups will work in conditions that they're not ideal for, but I don't I don't look to try to force that, because more often than not, it will just be a poor quality trade. So I try to take the best setups that fit for the best conditions. Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't really checked NQ today. Let's see what NQ is doing. Yeah, NQ is relatively much stronger. It hardly had a pullback. ES had a much more pronounced pullback. NQ is definitely stronger, continuing upward. I mean, that's pretty frequent though. Like, it seems like NQ just exaggerates whatever move ES makes, but it's much more heavily weighted with the Mag 7 and tech stocks. So they pretty much lead the market. So there's another dip into this box. I'm personally not looking to do anything with this right now. Just location, timing, context, etc. I'm just putting this on here to show you guys kind of like what I'm seeing and explain how I read how I read this stuff. Let me see. You can see this bid got filled here and defended this dip, but not a lot of aggressive buying came in after that. And now we're smoking through it. So you can see it here at this orange line, a passive buyer came in and absorbed these aggressive sellers initially, but not a lot of aggressive buying came in after that, and we dropped further down. There's not much significance in that box. I'm just showing you guys what I saw down here, which was just absorption and then aggressive buying coming in. But we've kind of cut through it now. I'm going to remove this. I was just marking this spot where right off the open, I saw this aggressive selling get absorbed and then aggressive buyers come in. So passive buyer, aggressive buyers. And we bounced off it once and poked a new high, tried to bounce off it a second time. Not enough buying came in and it got smoked. So we did drop under that 6,400 just a tiny bit. Now we're dropping now. So we're dropping into that kind of key area that I wanted to watch. So I am interested down here in the 6,400 to 6,390 area, but I'm not, even if it drops and bounces, I got to see good confirmations that make me click buy and make me take a trade. Overnight only exists to completely undo itself. That's funny. More often than not, that is the case, isn't it, little potato? I have setups just around that specifically. It's either just to undo itself or to wipe out, you know, later in the afternoon participants. That's funny. Yeah. That's why I always like mark out the highs and lows of overnight trading. Lower volume moves tend to be reversed. The market follows the path of least resistance. So when you understand order flow and the tape and how, and you know what drives the markets and where participants are, when a move extends with kind of lower volume, it's not a very like strong move. It's a path that's easily retraced when more volume comes in. So that's something that you'd learn about in this book, Studies in Tape Reading. Old book, but same concepts apply for the last hundreds of years with market auctions. But the market follows the path of least resistance when it makes a move. So when there's a move that occurs overnight with lower volume and it comes into an area of resistance, then it's very easy when the higher volume comes in to retrace that path of least resistance where there was not a lot of volume and support built into the market. Thanks, Douglas. So we dipped under that 6,400, selling kind of dwindled. See, we filled this bid right here at 63.97, and now we're seeing some more aggressive buying coming in. I just don't see anything significant enough for me to click buy, but this could be a nice fake out dip under that 6,400 into that key area. Selling, 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 hit this bid, selling kind of dwindled, and more aggressive buying came in. So I just don't, I like it, but I don't see any like significant orders or anything. So we'll watch kind of this area, really up to there, kind of watch that area. I just don't see much significant participation from buyers and sellers. It's just kind of lower volume, lower volatility right there, but it could work. And I do like this dip under that level. It just, there wasn't a lot of significant activity there that made me like buy. But we did see selling dropped into here, filled this bid, and then just no more selling came in. The last seller sold and then got weaker down here. And actually, look at this. You can see this got rebid again. So you can see this bid got filled, absorbed these sellers. We started to pop, selling dwindled, and then see this orange bar on the heat map. So aggressive sellers came back in, and a passive buyer immediately bought them right here at 63.99, and then popped out of there. It just wasn't quite significant enough to catch my eye and make me click buy. But there was a 340 lot negative delta there at 63.99. And then aggressive buying came in at 6,400, 6,401. And kind of the reason I like to see like more significant orders come in to execute my trade when I see that is because like when I see it, it's like, yes, this looks good, but it's not really any kind of significant orders. And look at this bid popping up here again at 6,400. We'll see if that fills if we drop down there again and a little bit more significant absorption. But the problem with it is it's just a little 50-50 because we could see a quick sweep with larger orders and sweep this out easily because there's just not a lot of larger volume. I don't see like a really large participants getting involved here. So yes, it worked. Yes, I saw that play out, but I didn't see anything really significant that told me like big players are getting in here, do this now. And so the problem with that is if you get in the habit of kind of just jumping into trades every time you see anything like that, is you just take a lot of small losses. Like if any bit of volume came in, we could have swept this out, and there's bids sitting down here too, like kind of in the middle of that area that I was watching. So I just didn't see much significant, but it could work this time and we could go rally, and I just didn't catch the trade. So that is the setup that I wanted. That is the zone that I was looking for. However, pause comma, it's one of those times where I just didn't see anything significant enough for me to execute the trade. This is not a stock. This is Vibes asked. This is S&P 500 futures. So even if I trade SPY, I do my analysis based on ES, the futures contract for the S&P 500. In my opinion, this is like the best tool for analysis for regardless of what you trade, anything on the S&P. SPY, SPX, ES, MES. So we had a quick little drop down here, and this bid did not pull. He's staying there at 6,400. Some more bids popped up here. It is also equally telling if I see like a bid or an offer popping up and then they pull the order. Maybe it's a significant order, and then before it fills, it gets pulled, because then I'm like, okay, is somebody a larger player trying to kind of manipulate this and kind of spoof the market? Because they're, you know what I'm saying? Like if a larger seller is actually really wanting to sell the market here, and they're, you know, kind of putting bids in to kind of spoof people into buying ahead of them, and then a bunch of people buy that they sell into, and then on the drop they pull their bid. So they were really a seller. They were just enticing liquidity to fill a larger selling position. That's something you got to watch out for. It's like the most complex and dynamic game in the world to ever exist, because there's just an unlimited number of outcomes. Whoa. Oh, pre-new. What do we have here? We had that new something. I don't see anything right now. I'm sure we'll see a headline any moment about what that was, but so clearly, I mean, we did see this bid getting filled, and I was saying, watch out for that. But in this box, I did not expect that reaction though. But look at, isn't that funny how price precedes news? Somebody said TSMC news. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure we'll see momentarily. But we already saw this technical area developing, a passive buyer being worked in this area. Saw it here, saw it popping up here. So like, oh, tariff exemption. Okay. So Price precedes news, guys. The news only tells you what's already happened in the past. We already saw this developing minutes before the news. Someone else already knows before you see it, before it's a headline. There's already orders occurring around it. This is the most real-time information that you can have, is seeing the orders that come in the market real time. Because by the time everyone's aware of the news, we've already seen it minutes ago. The tape and the order flow is the most leading indicator in the market. Nothing else is even close. Everything else is an afterthought. Every indicator that you put on the charts is just an after it's already happened calculation based on what's happened here in the order flow. Yeah, but I mean, Bloomberg terminals are great and can get news more real time, but even that is going to delay. What you see on the tape is the most leading indicator, because regardless of what the news is or what someone else is, doesn't matter why some participants are buying or selling, whatever, that's all an afterthought. The only thing that's real time is what's happening in the market right now with the orders that are coming in right now. We saw this passive buyer already here. We saw him popping up again here before people started getting aware of that news, and we had this aggressive buy pop. So that's a prime example, real time right here, of price precedes news. Now, did I know that this was going to happen and that this news was going to come out? No, but I knew that there was someone already buying here. Like, there's no coincidence. Look at this. I drew this at 9:46 and this happened 10 minutes later. And again, that's not from a candle chart. That's not something, that's just the price and volume from the order flow as it came in. I don't think there's anything that would tell you on a candle chart there other than like it started to bounce up from that a little bit. Yeah, I would have loved to be a part of that. Would have loved to be a part of that. Right in the zone that I wanted, right in the level that I wanted. I just didn't. This time, I saw it more here, but by the time, if this would have occurred a little bit more slowly and I could see this buying come in, but it was so sporadic on the news, I didn't even get a chance. But if I would have seen this absorption and seen this buying coming in, I would have clicked buy here. But by the time I could even like process what just happened and click buy, it was already up here. So, but that's just a very impulsive news reaction that made it not able for me to get in on it. But unless I was being a little bit more speculative and getting in down here, which is fine, I do that sometimes. But it's it. Like, sometimes you have a setup plan and it does work out. You just don't see A+ confirmations to take it at the moment. So it's a combination of finding the setups and then also waiting for the good confirmations to take the setup and manage the risk. Lax, you caught that? Daniel. Lax caught it from 6,400. Where'd you get out? 12 points? Nice trade. That's a one and done right there for me, sir. Catch 12 points off the rip from 3 points of risk. Nice catch. Yeah, I mean, I saw the confirmations here. It was definitely a valid setup. It just wasn't totally A plus enough for me. I'm being on these streams. I'm being very, very selective because I know even though every single time I get on here and I tell you guys like, don't copy my trades, don't, I'm just sharing this for entertainment and education. Like, I'm not sharing trade signals. There's a delay in the stream and there's a delay in me communicating it. Even though I say all of that, I know there's going to be some people that are still yeeting positions trying to copy me. It's just an inevitable risk in this. But despite my best warnings to tell people not to do that. So I am very selective in the trades that I take. Blair caught it at 01, scaled out at 64.12. Beast. Blair and Laksh. Nice catch. Yeah, 30 minutes, pretty messy. I'm sitting out. But this is what I was talking about on the volume profile. We did drop right into this area that's looking really good now with all this volume built up. Right there, we dropped just barely into it. This is that area that I was talking about where buyers were really aggressive. Dropped right into it just barely and shot up. Jose, it's pretty hard to be patient. Yeah. Until you've gotten a good amount of experience and you've blasted yourself enough times taking dumb trades, which is different for everyone. Sometimes it can take years, sometimes just a few months. Until the pain of change becomes less than the pain of staying the same, you continue to make the same dumb mistakes being impatient. But when you've had so much pain of staying the same, making the same mistakes, being impatient, and that the pain of doing the work to actually change is less than the pain of just staying the same and continuing to make those mistakes, then you'll probably stay stuck. I'm still watching this area, but there's quite a bit of heavy selling on this pop and sweep down here, so it's not looking so good to me. When we made a lower high on the day and we're coming back down in here with heavier selling, it's not looking so good anymore. This was nice scalp into the highs. It could still work for sure. This bid just popped up and filled. We're still seeing it. So we may make another higher low from here. But when we're just narrowing into a range, higher lows, lower highs, like a pennant, like look at this. Let's zoom out. When in doubt, zoom out, okay? We have pretty much, like we did drop just barely into that zone that I wanted to watch. We just barely dropped into it. We saw good confirmations and stuff right before that news came out. That news popped us back up to these highs, made a lower high, and then dropped back down. But look at the size of the selling on the drop back down. Just a little cautious to step in front of that, especially when we're narrowing into this zone. We're not going to stay in this zone forever. And if we do, then I won't trade today. But be careful. Risk management and probabilities of being cautious and selective. But see how I like to just zoom out like that? Look at this 15-minute interval. We're getting a little too zoned in here, right? You know what I mean? Zoom out a little bit. What's going on here? Look at my charts. What's going on here? We're just kind of in this narrow range. Yeah, we are absorbing and buying off the lows, but selling is kind of heavier after making a higher low. So let's put the pieces of the context together. This looked better. This looked like a nice bottom reversal here, but then we popped and made a lower high, and now we're dropping back down with heavier selling. So let's put all that context together. Does this look so good to try to catch a bottom on now? No. So now we've dropped further into that low volume node area, kind of the middle of it, with some heavier selling. So we'll see what happens here. Look at that. That's a larger absorption order there. We'll see if that continues or it traps. Some heavier selling coming in. Look at this offer popping up here. So he tried to absorb and pop here, but then we sold back sharply, and then buying dwindled, and then this offer popped in here. So we tried to pop with aggressive buying off that, and then the selling just kind of dwindled, or the buying just kind of dwindled after that. Didn't really continue that. And then a passive seller came in right here and punched it lower. So now we've dropped lower. NQ is actually still relatively strong. NQ hasn't even broken its regular like trading hours lows. So we've come all the way down to that 90 level now. A lot of aggressive buying coming in down here at these 90s. Quite a bit of significant selling leading lower on ES compared to NQ. Very interesting divergence. NQ is dropping quite a bit, and ES is dropping quite a bit, and NQ is like not budging. Really hasn't even broken the regular trading hours lows. So one or the other is probably going to give here. Either NQ is going to drag a reversal on ES, or ES might drag NQ to break its lows finally. ES is trying to form a bottom here, but there's just a lot of selling coming in still, and the buying's not coming in quite aggressive enough just yet. Could see more aggressive buying step in, but it's not quite aggressive enough just yet. Yeah, so we tried to form a bottom there right at the bottom of that zone at those 90s, and buying just dwindled and dumped. So I'm still watching. I was watching that really closely to see if I wanted to take that long, but we're kind of breaking under that 90 level now. I was watching that really closely, but Yeah, every little pop from buying here that attempts to like absorb and pop is getting like reloaded into by a seller. So I think I'm going to probably clear and invalidate that setup now that I was looking for. It would be unfortunate if it still worked, but it was looking good on that drop with all this absorption. But the problem is we're seeing the absorption, but every little pop, like look at this, look at all this aggressive buying that just came in here. And when all that aggressive buying came in here, it just stopped and then heavy selling again. So it's kind of tricky. I'm not really loving this action. And actually, if we look at the footprint range, I'm just looking for the last 10, 15 minutes here. It's just straight sideways, which we can see here. So it's like trying to absorb and defend, but getting sold into quickly. So it's very tricky here. I wouldn't look for the setup here. But if aggressive buying can come in and trap all this selling, then I like the setup for potentially a nice bounce. But it's just seeming like it's having a hard time doing it. And we did kind of get fully under that low volume area between 90 and 60, really between like 99 and 92. So we cut fully through that now. We do have this area under the overnight swing low around 63.80. Excuse me. But I would have liked this drop setup if we would have popped a little higher this morning into that area. If we would have popped a little bit higher this morning into the, like I said, 17 into that 20 area, I would have liked to short that. But unfortunately, we just never poked up there high enough, and we had these kind of impulsive moves up here and then halted. And look at all this heavy selling on this drop down. So there's just a lot of heavy selling zooming out here on this drop down. I don't know. I'm a little hesitant in this price action because we're just kind of dropping straight down with heavy selling. So I'm a little hesitant to step in front of that unless I see something really significant. Elite asked if I'm looking for a sweep to move lower, possibly. So, I mean, there is that same area that I talked about from 90 to 6,400 that I've been talking about all morning. We are breaking under that. And I was looking for either the bottom reversal there or the break and retest under there. We broke under it. Just, I haven't really seen any good pop with confirmations for like a break and retest either. So like we are coming into that area. I'm just not seeing a really good setup develop for me to be in it, if that makes sense. So the market's moving. I'm just not seeing a really great setup to be in it. Bookmap looks so much larger. I have a 32-inch monitor and can't see as much data as you do with the chart so stretched. How do you have it scaled down? I mean, you can zoom in and out here. You can zoom in and out on price here to expand that way. You can zoom in and out here. And then you can adjust the size of the bubbles and stuff up here, the volume dot size. Just a lot of heavy selling coming in here. Unfortunately, we hit that resistance zone in the pre-market overnight, like at 5 a.m. So didn't get a chance to get a part of it. And we didn't pop high enough off the open into that area where I wanted to short it. And we didn't get a defense enough from buyers to get a bottom reversal. And we didn't get, after we broke through that zone, we didn't really get a pop into it to short for the break and retest down. So it's kind of a thing, like a little bit annoying, where price has moved exactly off the levels and the locations that I was looking for. It just did it in a way that I was not able to take a setup on it. And sometimes that happens. It's a lot of buying and selling both here. We kind of took out that overnight swing low around 81 into this afternoon consolidation area. That's kind of between like 70 and 80 roughly. So we took out that overnight swing low into that consolidation area, 70 to 80. And then we're kind of consolidating, kind of seeing some significant buying and selling on both sides here. Some larger buying, but also kind of some kind of passive selling potentially too. Yeah, look at just kind of zooming out. I think my volume dot's got a little messed up, but we can see just the size of this selling down into here, and then the size of this buying down here. Somebody went for a long at 89. Talk about that. There just was not, it looked good. We were kind of basing there. I was watching it very closely. I guess to me, the problem was like there was just no significant buying coming in to trap these sellers. So we kind of were just absorbing the lows, and then the pops were just getting weaker and weaker with buying. And so it was very tempting. I was watching it very closely right there around 90 as well. But like I said, it just, the pace of it and the buying just dwindling, buyers were trying to support that area, and that was right in that zone that I mentioned, but it just couldn't catch a lift. And now it looks like ES is trying to support here, and now NQ is kind of rolling over. ES tried to support this area with a lot of substantial buying, and then NQ is kind of rolling over to the red side finally. NQ hasn't even like dipped over this little swing low that happened at 5 a.m. though. So if NQ kind of dips under there and finds some support, and NQ and ES finds some support in here, we could get a nice little pop higher, either to short into or to bottom reversal it. Definitely see all this buying coming in here for sure on this dip under the lows into yesterday afternoon consolidation area. NQ just kind of double bottomed like right at that 23, 560, 559 area, which is that little swing low that formed at 5 a.m. Do have consumer inflation expectations, kind of a medium impact news coming out in about 30 minutes at 11. Don't have too much significance around that, but it is a thing. Yeah, tough price action, kind of like grind and then straight down drop without really good opportunity to be a part of it. And then kind of grind basing area and then drop again, but no real like retest to be a part of it again. There is a bid coming in here. There is a larger bid here. There is a lot of buying after we swept that overnight low on ES and into that buying, into that consolidation area from yesterday afternoon. There's been quite a bit of buying here. I like how NQ, I'm looking at just the 15-minute on NQ is kind of leaving two larger lower wicks here. If it can hold that area, and I kind of like how ES is really trying to hold this area in from yesterday afternoon's consolidation after we dipped under the overnight lows. But the problem is there's just not a ton of buying continuation yet. Yeah, kind of stuck in this range now. I like how this buying is holding here though. And just looking at the 4-hour charts on NQ and ES is having a relatively exaggerated pullback, kind of the top of that prior like range that broke out at 63.74 where that key level was. We took out those kind of overnight swing lows, and NQ just kind of made a double bottom with its most recent 4-hour candle, still in that top of that demand area that formed on that overnight rally on NQ. So this is a kind of an interesting thing here. It could bounce from here on just like a higher time frame analysis here. This is kind of interesting. Definitely looks like just accumulation here of something, either a larger move reversal or another larger move down. It looks like some accumulation going on. Life Buddy, what confirmation would it take you to buy from here? I'm watching it, but I struggle with a scalp here. I'm looking at more of the higher time frame, and I'm looking at like SPY calls as more of a positioned day trade / possibly hold in tomorrow. It really depends on the context of the market and everything, and like the location. If we're in a key area of supply, we're near all-time highs. Like the higher time frame trend has continued to stay up. We had that really aggressive 2-day sell-off Thursday and Friday of last week, but that really didn't shift the higher time frame structure too much. We came back to the bottom of that consolidation range and bounced from there. We did get pretty deep into that consolidation range though. So generally my shorts are just looking for quick scalps. And I look to capitalize on a quick, heavy drop and then get the heck out, just like I did yesterday. But I like what looks like a lot of absorption going on down here after we swept under those lows into that consolidation area from yesterday and bouncing with quite a bit. And then also NQ has barely been able to take out its most recent like hourly swing low into its overnight demand and forming some lower wicks. So if this is a large accumulation, then this kind of impulsive pullback on the 4 hour that swept under the lows into that key level around 63.74, that is kind of my more 4 hour setup that I look for with calls for more of a positioned trade for a little bit of a larger move. All right, I'll be right back. Gotta run to the head. still kind of sitting around here. Brad, question on the book map being there was a buyer to every seller, vice versa. What determines the color of the bubbles? Market orders. So like red bubbles are aggressive market sell orders, passive matched with passive buyers on the bid. And green bubbles are aggressive market buy orders. Yeah, sorry, I said I had to step away for just a minute. Not too much exciting here. I mean, it was a really nice drop. Didn't really get the break and retest set up on that 90 to 6,400 area that I was watching. We just kind of broke, kind of consolidated straight sideways and then broke again. Didn't see anything super great. And now we just kind of broke, consolidated here, and then are breaking again. But again, didn't see super significance. Do have, I think, a Fed member speaking right now, but not, I don't have that as a super, super critical speaking. But Bostic says making policy decisions is now more difficult than 12 months ago. Risks are changing. Excuse me. Risks are changing. How do you read these consolidations and break out of it? Usually like to see higher volume and volatility on the break out of it, and then weaker selling, weaker buying on the retest of that. Yeah, Ishan, I don't know, because we're kind of coming into some key area from yesterday's consolidation. I would have wanted to target this area on the break and retest short from 6,390 to 6,400 area. Unfortunately, didn't get an entry on that. Tough to say that I'd get in for downside continuation here. Just looking at the 4-hour charts on both NQ and ES, this looks like an area where if we did get a sharp aggressive drop and it got defended, it could lead to another large move up towards all-time highs. But we could drop much lower from here. It's anyone's guess. I just struggle initiating any positions here at the present moment, long or short, just given the current location and how much price has already moved. I struggle to initiate anything here. I liked all this buying that we saw. I liked all this absorption and all this aggressive buying, absorption of sellers, but then all this buying seemed to have been absorbed by a passive seller still. And so we didn't really pop up enough where we got a good like opportunity to short. Just kind of grinded, and all this aggressive buying looked and see how we kind of made these higher lows with the selling and all this aggressive buying coming in, and then it smoked through lower again. So not loving that price action kind of either way. But NQ is relatively much stronger, has not dropped nearly as much as ES. NQ is still green 0.5% on the day, and ES is red, just flipped red, 0.01, 0.02%. And it's coming into this anchored VWAP level. So I'm just kind of zooming out right now, looking before I really kind of like hone in on trade. I'm kind of like just looking at the hourly, the 4 hour, and kind of zooming out a bit on Bookmap. Want to avoid over analyzing anything too lower time frame right here, and kind of maintain a little bit of a bigger picture until something clearly develops. When I see something opportunity wise more clearly develop, and then I can really zero in on it. Looks like we need 63.63. We're still, so I have that 50% level from Thursday and Friday sell-off at 63.56, and we're still above that. So we've still, on the 4 hour chart this week, made higher lows. But any other questions today, guys? I think today so far we had the levels. They did react. We did kind of do some setups, but just didn't get good confirmations either on the break and retest or on the top reversal, on the bottom reversal. So until I see both the levels reacting that I want and the confirmations that I want to manage risk and everything, then I'm a little bit on standby. So that's just how it goes sometimes. That is just how it goes sometimes. Caught your one win. Awesome, Ray. Yeah, a lot of people caught that initial kind of morning bottom long scalp for like 10, 12 points. That was nice. I didn't see quite enough confirmations to click it myself. And then when we came back into it, the context was different. Selling was pretty heavy, and we broke down through that. And then I never really saw a good retest opportunity to get in short either. We just kind of got heavier and heavier selling volume. We did This is where that pop occurred and kind of a scalp long opportunity right on that news. But then we made kind of a lower high double top right here from the pre-market. And then on this selling, it just came in heavier and heavier and heavier. And so if you didn't like top ticket, I just didn't see a good risk versus reward opportunity to get in. Obviously, in hindsight, it just kept dropping, but hindsight is 2020. Just never got any like quick little pops, any volatility to kind of get in on a break and retest or a good opportunity to get a decent price in that offered risk versus reward. That made sense. Then we just kind of grinded lower. It's the same zone that I've been watching all morning, that 6,400 to 6,390. Was hoping to see a pop into there of some sort, just never came, and just kept grinding lower on this heavier selling. Couple times we grinded sideways. It looked like buyers were really coming in heavy, and it just never even got a pop out of it. And the selling looked weak and the buying looked strong, and just never got a pop, and then just eventually just fizzled out and just kept grinding lower. So it's one of those times where I just don't see great opportunity either way. So I'm probably just going to close it out. But tomorrow's Friday, last day of the week. So we have one more trading day coming up. Anybody have any questions? Anything you want me to go over? Let me know in the chat quick. And I am going to wrap it up for the day. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Blair. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Again, if you appreciate these streams and you appreciate all the kind of live analysis and answering questions and everything, helps me out a ton if you just drop a like and share on the video. And I appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate the group that we've got going on here. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kellen Rock, Benjamin, Daniel. Appreciate you guys. Dogfish, thanks for joining in. Laksh, caught a nice scalp today. Good job, Laksh. Ray, Abnormal, Stelios, Richard, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you being here as always. Ricky, Andrew. All right, guys. I will see y'all tomorrow morning. Ishan, thanks, man. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.